Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're hanging out indoors. Although I think it's kind of nice outside because it's not so hot in here, but
That's true. That's true.
it is. So, and we're reading Bhagavatam, which is what you do.
Canto 4, Chapter 19, Text 33. Om Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 33. Lord Brahma continued, let there be good fortune to both of you, for you and King Indra are both part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore you should not be angry with King Indra, who is non-different from you. Text 34. My dear King, do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments. Kindly take my words with great respect. We should always remember that if something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. The more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. Sometimes a saintly, or very religious, sometimes a saintly or very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. Such incidents should be taken as providential. Although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy, one should avoid counteracting such reversals. For the more we become implicated in rectifying such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. Lord Krishna has also advised us in this connection. We should tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. Wow. What a verse in purport. Very powerful. Very powerful. In the verse, I mean, it's interesting. First of all, your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments, higher authority, sort of God. It's interesting to bring that in. And then that if you try to fight that, we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. It's very powerful. That's what stood out. And how Prabhupada in the pulpit is saying that we should tolerate, which is not, anyway, if someone's going through something, you have to be careful if you just say just tolerate it, but
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, and I get it, totally, like, sometimes you just have to accept a reversal. And here what you have is you have Lord Brahma coming and specifically, coming and specifically highlighting that that's what you should do, And in general, sometimes things just happen, what can be done, you might try. But there are numerous incidences, and I was just talking to someone earlier today who was beseeched by a potential, what's the word being used here? Reversal. And, it seems like, someone's not being so honest and straightforward, and they're trying to have one up on a person, and it's like, okay, so that might happen, and the result might be X, Y, and Z, so we have to be prepared for that. At the same time, it seems that Krishna gives us the intelligence to do some things in a way that we may need to defend or protect, And, I was just thinking some examples. Well, one example I gave to this person was that, even Arjuna fought the battle. They didn't just, They didn't just say, okay, we won't take any land, even not enough to drive a pen into, and we'll just kind of wander around, hang out, it's cool. You know? It's just a reversal. Another one that comes to mind is more, Srila Prabhupada with the Bombay property. I don't know if you can hear that, but I think we've said before, it's the fire department, the fire station right next door, and they have to test these tools, and they do it like I think before every shift. Yeah, with the Bombay property, devotees were like, Prabhupada, it's a swamp, let's just leave. Prabhupada said, no, you must fight. So, and I think there was a similar thing that happened with the Vrindavan property, where the man gave the property and then he said he wanted it back, and they did something, they wrote a note, or 2 notes or something, and offered him to Radharani, and then someone picked one, and whatever it said they would do. Yeah, so I guess it's, what is that famous, that prayer, the anonymous prayer that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change those that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah. Anyway, please, we want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this? Because like you said, it's not like someone could be in a heavily abusive situation. And in one sense you might be like, yeah, you just have to go through it. And the point here is that if you're getting a karmic reaction, and this is the crux of the point, if you're getting a karmic reaction, what you want to do is just allow it to land, knowing that somehow I must have done something to deserve this. And the idea here is that if a karmic reaction is coming to you and you fight back against it, then you create another action to put out there. And that's why Prabhupada is saying then one just enters into the darkest regions of material anxiety. One becomes more entangled in actions and reactions like that.
Yeah, but disclaimer, if you are in a situation where you're being abused or harmed or hurt, we're not saying just tolerate. You have to make sure you're safe, please.
Yeah.
We just need to say that. There is a line.
Yeah.
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 Alright, text 35. Oh, it's you.
Text 35. Lord Brahma continued, stop the performance of these sacrifices, for they have induced Indra to introduce so many irreligious aspects. You should know very well that even amongst the demigods there are many unwanted desires. Purport. There are many competitors in ordinary business affairs, and the Karmakanda chapters of the Vedas sometimes cause competition and envy amongst karmis. A karmi must be envious because he wishes to enjoy material pleasures to their fullest extent. That is material desire. Consequently, there is always some competition amongst the karmis, either in ordinary business affairs or in the performance of yajna. Lord Brahma's purpose was to end the competition between Lord Indra and Maharaj Prithu. Because Maharaj Prithu was a great devotee and incarnation of God, he was requested to stop the sacrifices so that Indra might not further introduce irreligious systems, which are always followed by criminal-minded people. Interesting. So, it's a little tough because it sounds like Lord Brahma is saying here, stop doing what you're doing. You're causing Indra to act in a disrespectful way. It's almost like he's saying, this all happened because of what you're doing, so stop. You can imagine, you can take it in that way, you can perceive it in that way. But then Prabhupada takes an interesting perspective, and in the purport he's saying that, in business there's often competitors, and even amongst the demigods they have so many desires. So there's that competitive spirit. In different places Prabhupada mentions this competitive spirit is natural amongst the living entities. So Lord Brahma is recognizing this competitive nature in Indra, and he's not going to give up. So he's appealing to the soft-hearted devotional nature of Prithu Maharaj, that he'll be the one that can be sensible here and let go of that. So he's appealing to that, because if he went to Indra, Indra might say yes, but he will still be prone to act in a different way.
Yeah, it's like when you have kids and you appeal to the older one or the mature one and just say, look, just let him have the toy, or just let it go, like that, and it takes that mature older sibling to let go. Otherwise both kids are just going to be perpetually fighting over something insignificant. And we've seen that in life when you have to become the better person, and I just let it go, It feels like that. It's like Indra's the immature one, and he's appealing to the higher mature nature of Prithu Maharaj. Let it go, let him have the toy, let him have it's alright, you're good. Knowing he's got that level of, I guess you could say, intelligence or maturity, that, okay, because Indra doesn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have created so many ridiculous things. Paths that, he's gone to some great lengths to satisfy that jealousy and envy, basically. And someone
material desire.
Detached and mature, they can be like,
Yeah, if you think about it, he was almost killed so many times.
Yeah.
Envy's
like that, jealousy, it can make you do some crazy things, And people that are like that are quite dangerous, I feel, because they're capable of very underhand things, because it's really rattled that false ego,
Yeah, positions are challenged, ego is threatened.
Yeah.
But on this point of competition, I just, because I made a note on this before when we read, and Prabhupada in one letter to a Trey Rishi talks about this kind of competitive nature. Well, he says that in the spiritual world there is also envy, but he says it's not material envy because it is free from malice. And he explains that in the spiritual world, one devotee or one gopi might be envious of another, thinking, oh, she has pleased Krishna so nicely. But that envy, then she'll say, now let me do something to please Krishna, better. And Prabhupada says, but that envy is free from malice, because it's not driven by a desire to push the other person down or hurt them, but it drives one's desire to please Krishna more. It drives our it drives and induces us to perform better bhakti, better service. And Srila Prabhupada tried to use this. When he was on the planet, he was driving competition, especially during book distribution time. And he would, I remember there's one letter we used to read every year where Prabhupada says something to the effect, I forget who he wrote it to, maybe it was Tripurari Maharaj, maybe it was someone else on another book party, airport party. And he said, oh, if you continue this way, Tamal Krishna will have a heart attack or something like that, And he would drive, he'd be like, oh, doing very well, and he would just wind them up, and he would use that, and he knew they had it, so he was engaging it in service. Yeah, he's redirecting it, or as
Yeah.
the term that Prabhupada would always use is dovetail.
Yeah.
Dovetailing it. Next one's long. Maybe just call it a day right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you all very much. Please keep tuning in to Bhagavatam Bites, and please read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, it's really important to read Srila Prabhupada's books more and more and more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.